Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful Monday. Today, we're going to be looking at composite volume, and we'll talk about what that means in just a second. But before we get started, let's do a quick review over what is volume. So here are a few questions, this way, that way, yeah, for you to answer. Okay, hopefully you've answered those. So the first thing that was asked was, what is your volume formula? So hopefully you remember from your volume formula, your volume equals your length times your width times your height in a rectangular prism. So when you start learning about triangular prisms, cones, spheres, cylinders, they will have their own formula. And they actually all come from the same formula. It's just the volume equals the base times the height, where this base right here is whatever the shape of the base is. So in our shape, it is a rectangle, so the base is the length times width. So a triangle would be 1/2 base times height. Okay, so let's, the second thing I asked you is, what is volume measured in? So volume is measured in cubic units. Okay, so that is what volume is measured in. It's because it's three-dimensional. We're packing those cubes inside to make volume. Okay, and my last question was kind of just to see your prior knowledge is, what do you think composite means? What's going to be the difference between composite volume and just the normal volume problems we've been working on? So hopefully you answered. Composite volume means that it is multiple shapes put together. Composite means multiple things put together, as you can see in this shape. I was trying to give that to you as a hint. Okay, well, we are going to get started. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm actually going to use my iPad to do the math for these. I'm going to move myself out of the way. So if you see the glowing, it's from the iPad. Oh, and by the way, my dog is doing much better. She's down to only having to take 3 pills a day. Her antibiotics she's still on, and then she still has an inflammation pill that she's taking, but she's doing much better. We had a really good weekend. She went for a walk, so that was really good. Okay, so I started with cubes where you can actually see the cube, so you can understand like the breaking and where each one represents. So let's start with the smaller one. So if I'm looking at this smaller one, I'm going to change colors real quick. I need, since they're rectangular prisms, I need the length, the width, and the height. So if I look at this as, this is the length here. Super delayed, maybe. No, not going to write on there. Not going to write. Okay, maybe I'll just do it with the computer then if it's not going to let me write. Right here, our length, and I'm actually going to switch to the marker. That didn't. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see that. And then our width. So when we're looking at the width, we're only looking at where we would like just this piece. So that would be 2, and then our height is 1. So we could call for shape A. My volume would be volume equals 4 times 2 times 1. Okay, which 4 times 2 is 8, times 1 is 8. So this would be 8, and we would say cubic units, or units cubed. I'm just going to put units cubed. I don't know why it's not writing, but maybe it's because I'm videoing. So then let's look at the next shape. I'm going to use a different color for it. So if we think of the length the same way, it's going to have the same length. So that is 4. The width is actually going to be the same. It's only 2, but the height for this one is 3. So then I'm going to do my volume equals my length, my width, and the height. Okay, I'll just set this up. So we have 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. So that's 24 units cubed. But we're not done, because when we're looking for volume of composite shapes, we need the entire volume. So our total, I'm going to put it up here, would be adding the 2 together. 24 plus 8 would give me 32 units squared. Or sorry, I just said squared, cubed, because we're looking at cubes. Okay? So let's look at another example without cubes. So this is the one that was on the home screen when we started. So you can clearly see the two rectangular prisms. You have the one on the bottom and you have the one on the top. Okay, so for this one, we can see that I'm going to start with the one on the bottom. We have our length. Maybe if I use this one. There we go. You have our length, we have our width, and we have our height. We have all the dimensions we need. So we have volume equals 6 times 4 times 15. Okay, the volume for that shape, let's go ahead and grab our calculator. 6 times 4 is 24, so I'm just going to do 24 times 15, which is 360. And I'm going to wait and label at the very end. So this is 360. So then I'm going to switch colors just so we can see the different shapes. Okay, what do you think? So we have the length, right? We have this dimension. And we have our height. But what do you think the width is? I'll give you a second to answer. It's always the opposite of mine, yeah. Okay, hopefully you have thought about it. So our width would be right here. So to figure this out, we have to think, well, this is the width, this is the same, this is the same. So this would be 4. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do volume equals 3 times 4 times 7. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 7 is going to be 84. So then our final thing is just to put those two together. So our final volume would be 400, because 360, 444 inches, because they gave us inches, cubed. Okay, we wouldn't write units because they labeled it in inches. Okay, I'll give you, actually, let's break it down. You do the first one and then we'll talk about it. So let's start with the big shape. We're going to start with this big shape right here. So think of like if there was a line here. What would be the volume you would find for this one? Okay, so let's take a look at this. So we have to think our length here. It wouldn't be the whole 8 because the whole 8 would go all the way across. But I see this length here. So that tells me it's 7 because it's the same here, which would be the same here. So my length is 7. Okay, the width we have to think is this. How wide is it? Okay, well, this is parallel to this, so that's the same. So I have to think this width is the same all the way across. So that's the 4. This one was kind of tricky. You have to think about it. And then the height was easy. The height right here is 7. Okay, so then hopefully you multiply those, and let's see, 28 times 7 is 196. Okay, so now try the little one. Okay, hopefully you worked that out and you did volume equals. So we figured out, we have to know this is 1 because if this was 7, this has to be 1. So we have our length of 1 times our width of 4. Okay, but here's the thing. We have to figure out what is this height here? Well, if this is 5 and we know this whole height is 7, that means this little width has to be 2. Okay, so we have volume equals 1 times 4 times 2, which is 8. So then our total volume would be 204. All I'm doing is adding these two together. Feet cubed, just like that. Okay, last problem. Okay, this one is multiple composites. So for this one, we're gonna have to break it. We have to look, and there's different ways that you can choose to break it. Like some people, you might choose, okay, I'm gonna cut them this way. Like that's gonna be your cut. And so you have those 3. Some of you might choose to cut them down. So I'm gonna go this way because I feel like I have more information. So let's start with this bottom one right here. I'm going to switch colors so we can outline it. So I see my length is 8. So we're going to say V equals 8. Okay, but I got to find my height here. So, but if I look here, it tells me this is 2. So that tells me this has to also be 2. So it's kind of like a puzzle. You have to work through it. Okay, and then we have to look at our width, which would be 4. Okay, so see why I chose that? Because the only one I had to search for was the 2. So then we have 16 times 4. which would be 84. So 8 times 2 is 16 times 4. Okay, then we have to look at these little ones. And they're not the same size. So we can't assume that. You can clearly see that. Okay, so let's start with this one because I can tell there's more information. So right here, I can see this is 3 because of this. 3, 3, 3. Okay, it's going to have the same width of that 4 right here. And then it's going to have the height of 2 that we noted right there. So this volume is going to be 3 times 2 times 4, which would be 6 times 4, which is 24. Okay, then let's look at our last one that we have, this one right here. So here's the trick. This is 2, because I can see that right there. That's 2. The height is going to be the same as this height, so this is also 2. And our width is 4. So the volume for this one is 2 times 2 times 4. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 4 is 16. Okay, and then I'll come down here and put our total. So, okay, hold on, I can do this in my head. So this would be 108 plus the 16, so my total would be 124 centimeters cubed by adding 16, added this 16, 24, and 84. Okay, so I have a few slides for you to try these on your own, so that'll be your assignment today. If you need any help, please join the Google Meet today at 1 o'clock, because there probably will not be one. Well, there should be one. I'm trying to think because our students are testing tomorrow. Let me look at the schedule. It'll be in the video if there will be one tomorrow or not. I hope you guys have a great day. You had a great weekend, and I will see you tomorrow.